I've realized on my own journey of growth that a lot of, or at least some of the decisions that you'll end up making in order to get to where you want to be, people just aren't going to understand it. And you can't really explain it to them. It's something that, it's like a personal decision that you make for yourself, but you can't really explain it to other people. And it's usually those personal decisions about where it's the direction that you want to go in life or something that you don't want to do that a lot of other people do. And they'll call you into question. They'll kind of give you crap for it. They'll kind of judge you for not following or choosing to live in the same way that a lot of other people live. And you can't really explain it to them. And for some of these decisions, it's definitely hard because I know for me, a lot of the time I feel the need to justify myself. Like when somebody thinks I'm wrong, it's like, okay, explain why I'm right and why they're wrong, or why both of our decisions are, equally correct or whatever. But as you keep progressing in life and you going on your path, which is different than somebody else's path, as they continue to diverge, like it's going to be harder and harder to explain certain concepts or certain ways of thinking to certain people. And it doesn't make you bad. It doesn't make you wrong. It doesn't make the other person wrong. It's just some decisions that you make. Not everybody's going to understand it. Not everybody's going to agree with it. Some people may think you're wrong, and you're going to have to live with it. That's something that I've had to come to terms with and realize. And it leads to this feeling of uncertainty, I would say, because I think one of the benefits of being with the crowd and kind of being like the average person is, even if it's not necessarily the direction that will get you to the most success or, give you the best possible outcome in life, whatever that may mean, at least you feel this sense of community and like you're together. Like if you and everybody else are going down this path, even if it's not that like the ideal, at least like being with a lot of people and like sharing that, having like that kind of sense of rapport with other people, it kind of gives you a sense of comfort, because it's like, yeah, I'm suffering, but at least everybody else around me is suffering in the same way. So it doesn't feel as bad, and I can kind of like comfort myself with it. But when you're going on a different path, when you're searching for something different, trying to make your life different, trying to get to a higher level, it's not completely lonely, but there's definitely less people, especially likely in your immediate environment, that you can relate to on this journey. And yeah, you're kind of just gonna have to live with those decisions and understand that the people around you may not agree, they may not understand. But the way I think about it is that if I'm very certain that the decision I'm making is the right move to make, even if everybody else is saying like that it's wrong, I'll still take their input. I'm not going to say, oh, you're completely wrong, and like completely just like block it out. Like I'll take their input and like still try and put it against like my decision making and like my framework, whatever. And if I still come to the conclusion that whatever decision that I've come to, whatever conclusion that I've come to is the right thing for me, I'm going to act in what I think is best, not what everybody else is saying to me. Because there have been times where I believed something, I wanted to make a certain decision for myself that everybody else was saying, hey, no, go and do this. Like that was kind of like the general consensus. And I kind of didn't trust myself at that point. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna follow what everybody else does. I made that decision. And it wasn't necessarily that I got a bad outcome. It was the fact that I couldn't trust myself and I couldn't learn from that decision. Like this will happen a lot where, like say you wanted to try out something, maybe try like a different side hustle or a business or whatever, but then people around you are kind of discouraging you, or maybe it's not even the people around you, you just get discouraged because of all the stuff you hear, like, oh, 99% of businesses fail in the first year, or maybe I should just go the more safe route or whatever it is, and you don't make that decision of what you think could lead to a good outcome, it's not necessarily the fact that you get a bad outcome from not following that decision. I hope that makes sense. It's that by not doing the thing that you wanted to do, by not following through with the decision you wanted to make, you stop trusting yourself. You don't trust yourself as much. And even if the decision that you make is bad, at least by the fact that you made that decision and you had to deal with those consequences, at least now you've learned, and now you can trust yourself even more that, hey, well, now I know what not to do, so I can make a better decision now. But if you just keep following and doing what everybody else is telling you to do it, even if that leads to an okay life, you're not going to trust yourself. You're not going to have that confidence for when the time comes where you can't rely on everybody else's decision. You can't rely on somebody else to tell you what to do. You have to be more independent. You have to make the decisions on yourself. It's far better to make those decisions for yourself now, fail, fall flat on your face, but get back up and then be able to make better decisions along the way as you keep going, rather than having to rely on somebody else to make the decisions for you. And it's like they're not dealing with the consequences of whatever that decision was. Like, it's your life. You have to deal with the consequences. I just think it's far better from a standpoint of being independent and having more agency over your life to just be able to make the decisions, even if other people don't understand it, even if other people don't agree with it. It doesn't mean completely blocking everybody else's opinions out, because a lot of the time, yes, other people may have a certain level of insight that you may be blind to, so you should usually take that into account. But that doesn't mean that they have complete control, or they should have complete control, because ultimately it's your life. You're gonna have to live with the consequences of your decision. Gain the skill of making decisions for yourself, because some of the decisions that you make will have a tremendous impact on your life. And if you let somebody else choose it for you, that can dramatically change the trajectory of where you end up going in life and where you ultimately end up, what your destiny becomes. This is something that I had to come to terms with, because as I get older and older, and as I make more and more decisions, more and more people start to kind of give you weird looks for the things that you're doing. And at first I got really defensive on it, again, trying to rationalize, over-explain, oh, well, this is why I'm doing that, and blah, blah, blah. But eventually you just get to a point where it's you don't have to explain yourself to everybody. You don't owe an explanation to anybody. It's your life. You choose what you do with your life. You've got to become more comfortable doing uncomfortable things and being looked at in a certain way from other people. And it's kind of obvious, if you think about a person who's trying to become above average or trying to separate themselves from the crowd, of course this is going to happen naturally. You've just got to prepare for it. You've just got to mentally be ready of, okay, as I continue going on, as I continue to differentiate myself and become different, I can't be so swayed. I can't be so weak in my positioning that I just completely change what I'm doing just because someone said something bad about me, or just because someone thinks this about me. It's no, I'm gonna stick to my guns. If I if I genuinely come to the conclusion that what I'm doing is wrong, okay, I'll be able to drop my ego and then, pivot from there. But if I genuinely believe something is right, I'm gonna follow through with it no matter what anybody else says, because I have to live my truth ultimately. I can't live a lie. That's just not how I choose to live. But yeah, hope you got some value from this video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe. Peace out. Love.